Ben Riggs presents D&D Out Loud. Episode 87, Charcuterie Generator Table.
Welcome to D&D Out Loud with Ben Riggs. I am Ben Riggs, the apparently controversial D&D historian and author of Slaying the Dragon, A Secret History of Dungeons & Dragons. And over the past 13 years of writing and podcasting, I have met hundreds of creative geniuses in and around the world of tabletop role-playing games. Here, on this very show, I ask a few of these flaming torches of the human imagination to come forth and hold a fascinating discussion, which I then record and send out into the world. Today, I've got Adam Good and Jamie Perez, the creative engines behind Stations. Perhaps you've heard of Infinity of Ships. My understanding is that Ben Milton of Questing Beast said it was one of the top 10 products of the year. And if you're familiar with Infinity of Ships, you know the work of Adam and Jaimie. Big imagination, tight design, the kind of tables and ideas toolkit that makes your brain start sprinting. Their latest release, which is over my left shoulder, 100 Strangers, gives us NPCs with story fuel, despite how incredibly clipped they are. Adam and Jaimie build for the moment at the table when you look up and say, okay, what happens next? And suddenly you've got an answer that's surprising, usable, and weird in exactly the same way. Adam Good, Jamie Perez, let's go. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much. I love that lovely introduction. Thank you.
So I guess I'll start with the thing that I mentioned there, which is Ben Milton said Infinity of Ships was one of the best products of 2025, and he sees everything. What do you think of that?
It was absolutely wild to hear that. To hear his review, I think we found out that he picked that up at Gamehole Con from the Tabletop Bookshelf guys. So that was a really nice serendipitous kind of event. And when I was first getting into tabletop RPGs, was really into Maze Rats and Knave, and as I was first coming into the scene, like seeing Ben's reviews and how he talked about game design was really important to me at the time. And so it was really lovely to see that. He also talks about it way better than we do. So I was like, he's not on the payroll, but like, we don't even have a payroll, but if we had one, he should be on it, because his description was pretty spot on.
It's nice having that video that now we can just send to people to explain what our game is. I also loved that, we visited you right around that time to talk about all kinds of fantastic things. And both podcasts came out almost on the same day. And I just was like, come bring on all the podcasters named Ben. That is our media list. Is we just like seek to get on all the Ben shows. But there was definitely some confusing conversations when somebody would say, "Did you see Ben's podcast?" And you would always think they're talking about the other one. It was fantastic.
I'm flattered and hilarious to be lumped in with Ben Milton. So now I'm going to ask the inappropriate question. So your company is called Stations, or is it your gang, your movement? What is it?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the movement idea. Yeah, it's a movement.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So our company name is 72 Stations LLC because Stations was taken or too broad or something. But we go by Stations. A lot of the work stemmed from a group we got together right when the pandemic hit to start playing weird ass sci-fi homebrew games that skewed towards the kind of wild and wondrous and exploratory types of sci-fi that we're really into. So it started out with us kind of writing different scenarios that take place on different stations that may or may not actually exist in the space-time meaning continuum, and kind of evolved from there into all these various projects we've been working on.
And I think there's this fun kind of one-upsmanship, because I remember the very first station was very much a space station, right? And we definitely need to like publish all these starter adventures someday. It'll be like Stations Juvenalia. But like, you know, Adam ran the first one and it was very much a space station, though everything was like plants on the inside and communicating through spores and things like that. But then from there, it felt like on each time someone ran a game, they're like, oh, wait, you think that's what a station is? I'll show you what a station is. And they just got weirder and weirder and weirder. And like the one I hadn't run yet was going to be like on someone's iris, you know, just like a little disc on someone's iris was going to be a space station. So it's just like, there was just this one-upsmanship and creativity and trying to keep on going left and then go further left and then go further left. That was a lot of fun. And then that became our name.
Wow. Man. I'm in a bit of a gaming drought right now, I would say. I was running Blades in the Dark and it was fine, but I think I've decided that heists aren't for me per se, especially at least not improvised heists. And it might have been a little too narrative for my group of, you know, 40 somethings who, you know, kind of grew up with hit points.
Yeah.
So again, I want to say this, what I'm going to say might not be Blades in the Dark. It might have been Apocalypse World, but the idea of like, okay, we're in combat. I rolled well, but I still take damage because we're simulating what happened, not like, did I hit or not? So, and it's been a very dark, grim winter. So let me ask you this in the hopes that it will. I hope this isn't picking on you guys. So if you feel picked on at some point, say no. But like,
I know this is a hit piece. I mean, I know it is.
Do you have go-to adventures, themes, ideas, systems? You're like, man, I was running Blades in the Dark, and now I think I just want to move on to something else. Is there a default place that one of that you would both go, for that matter?
Adam's and mine is totally different.
Oh, good. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I have a default system to go to. I would say like I have a default type of group that I would like to play with that emphasizes improvisation and storytelling over mechanics, and that can take a lot of different shapes. A lot of times people are running a homebrew that's like a hack of a hack of a hack where we roll dice maybe once per session, you know, and so it's kind of like I try to situate myself in those kinds of situations where someone is running a game. You know, if I'm not running a game, I like to be in a place where people are really emphasizing the story and where the kind of communal activity goes over the mechanics. So it's not a non-answer. It's kind of an answer. I don't know. Maybe
it's vague, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's the game I want to play. And I remember when we first started doing station stuff, Adam and I were doing various play tests of Eco's Lost Bay. I don't know if you've played Lost Bay, but it's this like 90s teen horror game. Let's call it, reminiscent of the 90s. It isn't in the 90s. And Eco's Corsican. I don't know. He speaks like French and Italian, and he's always in like 17 time zones away when we play with him. And he's fantastic. And it's an all storytelling game. But because of my background, I always make everything like a BX clone that's a roll under. And we roll dice, even though I don't usually have targets in mind when I have people roll dice. So I guess I'm doing the kind of that improv thing behind the scenes. If you can go all night without rolling dice, like I really want the kind of group that like, Adam did this thing. Oh, did it succeed? What do we all think? Oh yeah, it did. And it won't be like a night of picking on Adam and he's always going to fall apart. But
yeah,
for me, but one of the things you asked about was themes too. And like, I'll just give away every game anybody would ever play in with me, which is like Trickster Tricked is the ultimate narrative hook for me, like, or the ultimate narrative turn. And whether that's like actually trickster tricked or just context switching the game constantly, like going up and down levels of like thought. Definitely that kind of like ripping things out from under people constantly. Love it. Do you all remember that TV show Wild Palms that was on for like 2 seasons?
Vaguely.
Because like, I'm going to get this wrong. It was based on, I'm going to say like a comic book in Details magazine or something, but whatever. The second season, suddenly the main character just like wakes up with a shaved head and amnesia, and like, you know his backstory, but he doesn't. And it like, I don't think it ever comes back. It's like in Lost Highway where that other character comes in. Battlestar Galactica where it jumps like 100 years or whatever the hell happened. Like those are my kind of jams.
When you were talking about not rolling dice and not having target numbers, I had I think Jay Dragon and Mark Diaz Truman on the show, and we got to talking about Vampire the Masquerade, and Jay Dragon said, you know, people talk about Vampire the Masquerade, but no one talks about the mechanics from Vampire the Masquerade. They just talk about the setting and the character, but not the mechanics. And yet everyone's like, oh, it's such a great game, but the mechanics nobody even cares about. And
yeah,
I was kind of blown away by the, it was a frame I had never considered before, because I am not a game designer. I'm a fan, you know, and a recorder, but I could not do this. But it was, you know, I wondered if like Mark Reinhagen and whoever else had their hands in the guts of that game, if they heard that, if they would have taken extreme umbrage or not, or if they would have been like, Jay Dragon is also misapprehending the point is not the mechanics, the point is this world. But like, I lately have been thinking to myself, if I could play like fantasy Vampire the Masquerade, there's fantasy factions, but there's strong prohibitions against violence in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, you'd have to tone down the power level significantly, because a lot of the D&D style spells would just break that kind of play. But I've been tempted to go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, can you generate 1,000 words of fantasy Vampire the Masquerade? And again, when I say that, I don't mean your fantasy vampires, just that the factions. Are you guys familiar with Vampire the Masquerade?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I also really loved Werewolf and Mage back in the mid 90s, I guess. And by loved, I mean I loved reading the books for the lore, and I loved getting the trading card game versions when they tried those. You know, a couple years after Magic, everyone was like, let's make a trading card game of Vampire or Werewolf or whatever. I never got those games to the table. I mean, I didn't really have friends to play role-playing games with, so I had no idea what to even do. But I remember nothing about the mechanics. But I remember I have like a deep sort of like emotional narrative sense of the core of those books and how they made me feel. And to me, that's always been like the more important part. But I think, you know, when you ask the question about like the game designers, would they take umbrage about saying the game design wasn't necessarily good? You know, that was a long time ago at this point, you know, a really, really long time ago. You know, this January was like 10 years. So, you know, the mid 90s are what we're 80 years ago now. Like, I am definitely not a role-playing game historian, so I'll probably mix some things up here. But my overall sense of the development of the genre as we know it, like the mainstream kind of interpretation of it, is that it derived, you know, it descended from war games and kind of a simulationist kind of standpoint on how can we simulate battle and simulate interactions and make them feel realistic, or at least true to some sort of laws or physics, even if they're in a fantastical setting. And, you know, and I feel like there was a long period of like designers working with that and pushing against it to varying degrees of success. And, you know, I feel lucky that I kind of came into game design way later, when my first real introduction was Powered by the Apocalypse World, Monster of the Week, which felt much more natural to how I consumed media and told stories, which was like, what do you want to do? And there's like a little bit of chassis around there to help you with that.
I like, yeah, like the total opposite of that, right? Like being like 10 or 11 years old, mid 80s, early 80s, and like, wait, this character did this thing in D&D and I don't have rules for that, and I don't know what die to pick up for that. And didn't that kind of sense of liberation I would get didn't come till much later. It was still TSR games. I remember feeling much more liberated when I'd play like the Marvel superheroes game they made like in, I don't know, like 87 or 88, was it 85? I don't know. It was late 1900s, man. It was so long ago. But that journey from rules to like liberation from the rules, I think is that's the whole story for me. It's a great time to be playing.
Well, if we're going to talk about liberation from the rules, I feel like I should read from 100 Strangers a little bit, if that's okay.
Totally.
Yeah, go for it.
So I have a favorite part.
Oh, sweet.
And I'm just going to read it, and everyone can behold the greatness of your words. I assume at least that one of you two wrote this.
In post-production, they're going to do this whole fade in of the page, and it's going to kind of zoom over. So like,
You're just Ken Burns effect.
We are not that classy here.
Fixed in post.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this page.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, what I held up to the camera was, I guess I would describe it as a rock band from a Dadaist future. I may very well have the artist reference wrong there, but it feels like a distinctly early 20th century modernist movement, imagining a rock band from the year 3000. So let me just read what is on this page. Remain, which is spelled very creatively, audience. But Remain is an independent gigapunk band preserving music cultures across the universe, even as the Intergalactic Culture Extraction Corporation, Transparent Planet, attempts to assimilate and appropriate culture after culture into their hegemonic pop music machine. Remain carries out its mission on two fronts. One, playing secret contraband shows within the planet's empire, and two, finding and recording the music of unaffiliated worlds while warning them of the planet's ever-expanding wave of appropriation. Every Remain show is dedicated to a lost music culture and begins with the playing of a recording of that culture from their expansive archives. Remain frequently visits Deep Space 909 to place these recordings into heavy rotation and deep archives in order to preserve and propagate them in case Transparent Planet ever captures the original copies and Remain themselves. They put all their real money into recording equipment, data storage, and fuel, so their instruments are always a bit rough. More often than not, they are pulling half-done instruments from their broken-down printers just before playing, sometimes even while playing, but they make do. Far too often, these instruments are lost or destroyed in the rush when authorities inevitably bust up their shows. And then there's the names of the four bandmates. I'm just going to grab one at random. Yedel, a pre-incarnated archivist whose tagline is, "I am what I archive." There's also a very serious voice actor whose tagline is, "I shall perform your words." And a misprinted dishwasher named Crinch. And I guess I should say, audience, 100 Strangers is 100 NPCs for sci-fi role-playing games. And Remain is just 4 of those 100 NPCs. Can you tell me anything about Remain?
I have to give a giant shout out to David Neesmith, amazing musician of bands like Bats and Mice, Sleepy Time Trio, the Rob Raws. I play in a band with him named Sweatpants. This band came from his brain. He had a treatment for a short story he was working on. And he was like, hey, like, I think he was asking us about helping it out, making it into a game, because we had asked him to record some songs for 100 Strangers, and this thing came from him, and we just all played with it and made it more and more and different. Every single one of David's bands is amazing. He's an amazing person. I did want to make sure that everybody did get to see Deep Space 909 before the night was through. One of the ships that Rolando Industries of the Far Future created from Infinity ships. But yeah, I love that band. I don't know what else to say about that band other than that we have recordings and they're great.
So yeah, there's a Stations extended. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, Stations extended universe for sure. We love putting in connections between the various things, and obviously we've talked about how much music kind of means to us from a cultural standpoint, from a personal standpoint. I mean, we both came up in music scenes, have played in bands, and so we're always like just seeing how we can incorporate music in some way. And having Dave involved in the project is definitely like a high water mark for me in my career and life. I was 17-year-old me was going to see Sleepy Time Trio and taking pictures back when I was, a punk rock player, photographer, scenester. And so then coming, into my mid 40s and be like, oh, let's write a role-playing game thing together, was just truly just so amazing. And I think it speaks to kind of like our fairly organic approach to developing material when we find kind of kindred spirits in play. Because the 100 Strangers, it came about from a generator that we had just built up over years, in Perchance, that was like, we want lots of different backgrounds, lots of different weird skills, lots of names. And over time, we built up this generator. And for 100 Strangers, we would just hit generate until we got like enough of a concept of a character that then we would want to send to Roke to illustrate or to spin out. And then as we were talking with Dave and saying, oh yeah, like maybe there's this band, like we gave him the generator and he started working on some characters that we would then tweak, and then he would write a little bit more about. And it feels, I love the phrase gigapunk, because like that's what it feels like. It feels like a very natural extension of the sort of ethos and culture that that Jaimie and I and Dave kind of came up in. Yeah. And our favorite part of sci-fi, it's punk rock.
Totally. And one of Dave's often bandmates is this guy Jason Hamaker, and he I'm going to get the name of his gallery wrong, but I think it's Lost Origins in DC. And what his gallery started off doing was back when the Taliban was destroying
the Bamiyan Buddhas.
Yeah, spiritual monuments everywhere. And he was out there taking photos of the monuments before they were destroyed, and that's what was displayed. And so as we were working with Dave, I was thinking of that, and that's what reached. Dave had this idea of this organization that was destroying musical cultures. And I was like, well, what? Oh my God, Jason's idea is coming right into this. And we're going to have the band also try to save cultures too. So that we layered that on top of David's idea of like fighting against this monoculture, and it just layer after layer, and then you get someplace great.
A thing I often think about when evaluating a tabletop role-playing game book product of some sort is the density of good ideas. And all the material of yours I've seen has an incredible density of good ideas. Again, it's just exciting to look at and read. I am in preparation for my next book, I'm reading The Blank Space by W. David Marks, which is, are you guys familiar with it at all?
No.
It is a cultural history of the first part of the 21st century. And the author is essentially arguing, like corporate culture has taken over and given us crap, which that there's some truth to that. But also and again, you have to take some pity on someone who's like writing a book on 25 years of culture. Like, that's a lot. But like he spends more time talking about Kim Kardashian's ass than I want to say we got the ass before we got any books. I think Mad Men is the only TV show he's talked about. I can't think of any movies, and you'll be unsurprised to know that geek culture is fully beyond the horizon of his purview. But like, as this guy is bemoaning the lack of culture, it's like there's so much exciting stuff going on in our culture, in our subculture, and like it's Zine Quest month right now, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like I can't wait to get in there and look at what's going on. So I don't have a question. That was all just praise.
In praise of density of ideas. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
density of good ideas. You have good ideas.
Well, I think going, continuing the idea of like the sort of punk ethos, right? Like, extent to which our gaming space, our design space, our format, are not as big in the kind of cultural critique space or even like cultural awareness, because they're just not as big. But I think there's also a sense, there's a degree to which we are not homogenizable in the same way, other than, well, I'm going to like directly contradict myself, right? Like, because like there's one game that dominates the role-playing game market, right? And a lot of stuff is made to fit in that game. But then when you think about, there is no Spotify of role-playing games, right? There is no, and I would be hard pressed to think of how that would exist, because of the diversity of voices and players in the space, and because it is a push and pull kind of community effort. You don't. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to get too deep into sort of economic critique that I'm not fully equipped to make, but so I'll pause there. But
I was so excited. Please,
point, though,
don't say what you don't want to say, but I was all on board because I oftentimes think about how the role-playing game as a medium resists attempts by corporations to make large sums of money off of them. So
yes,
you talking about that, I'm like, tell me more, Adam. You're singing my song.
Yeah. I mean, cool. Thank you for the encouragement. So I'll just say, I think it is so diverse. It is so based on community and like push and pull and discourse within that community. And in a community which like really, I think for the most part sees through bullshit, right? Like sees through like bullshit homogenization attempts and really creates its own space and carves it out. And I was going to say, like, doesn't accept the Spotify model of like, I'm going to get 10 cents if people listen to my song a billion times. It's not commodifiable quite in the same way. Even if there are, obviously imperfections in reimbursement and payment models and things like drive-through and itch and really any marketplace systems. I find it hard to imagine like a Spotify type venture capital funded entity like taking over role-playing games the way Spotify and streaming services took over music distribution.
Yeah. I'm not the Magic the Gathering side of stations. I'll note, like, there is a Magic the Gathering side of stations, and I'm not it. I'm an older head, I guess. But when Commander came along, I was like, oh, that is so cool, and I had to get a Necromancer deck like instantly. But like, I mean, think about that. Whoever came up with Commander, like, they're not making any money off that. Like, right? Like, whoever invented Blackjack, they're not making money off that. It's the people that host the games, And so it just calls for a very different thing. If you're a publisher, the economic model is it's just not right for games, unless you end up doing something like Magic and you have to collect them all, and we're just not interested in any of that.
Yeah, and And well, Commander, was like a homebrew format that people made around the table, and then eventually became so popular the Wizards was like, wait, there's probably money in this, and then they started developing a lot of product for it, and made it even more popular. And yeah, not to deep dive too much into Magic, but that's been like a really fascinating kind of evolution in the format and in the game. And there's a whole lot of other Magic stuff I could go on ad nauseum about, but I'll save that for another time.
A source tells me that Commander originated at a store in Anchorage, Alaska.
No shit.
Oh, nice.
I haven't fact checked it yet. I have to, but that is my understanding. And would you mind, Adam, giving a brief, because we're not a Magic the Gathering podcast. Could you give a brief? What is Commander style play?
Yeah, Commander style play is you have a commander, like a single legendary creature or character that is kind of commanding your deck as you do battle against multiple opponents. So it's a multiplayer format, whereas most Magic games are one-on-one. So you get like 4 people around a table. Each would have their own really thematic deck. And the main rules for Commander are you can have only one of each card. And the cards can pretty much span from all of Magic's history. And so as someone who dipped his toes in and out of Magic over the years, but never really wanted to get involved because I was like, I don't want to have to pay to get 4 copies of a single card and change it every 6 months just to be competitive. I want to make a weird necromancer deck that's like necromancers and mermaids that like to sacrifice each other for hijinks. And that was the kind of like thematic goofy play that you could do with Commander. And it's the format that I like the most, because it is so much about, people play it really competitively, but it's also just very social. And it's like a lab, people just experiment in all kinds of weird ways and have fun. It's pretty much the only way I'll play these days.
Well, let me ask what you guys are working on now, because I think you have a Kickstarter launching on Tuesday.
We do. Yeah. The Kickstarter we have launching is called 100 Spaces. It was originally going to be Make 100 Spaces to be launched in the Make 100 month on Kickstarter, where they encourage campaigns that make 100 of something. But January's been January. So it's launching next week. And the whole idea behind 100 Spaces is to create 100 weird, strange, wondrous areas of space, quadrants, sectors, inspired by prompts from backers. And so backers can give us 1 or 2 or a 3-word phrase, and we'll kind of interpret it and spin it out into like tables and some lore and just some oddities to spark ideas about what could be happening in space. And I kind of imagine it being really useful for, you get pulled out of, your hyper jump, and then you're in this weird sector of space and something is totally different and unexpected, and you're not sure why. Those are always kind of my favorite types of episodes of Star Trek or something, where it's like, whoa, now we're in a weird space and the physics are wrong. We hear weird sounds, up is down, down is up. Everyone's singing a musical. I'm sure there'll be a musical somewhere in the book, but
making a note.
So this is just meant to be kind of like a spark for things like that, and also get the first Kickstarter that we did was called 100 Bastards, and we asked backers for a song. Oh yeah, there you go, with a cover by Strega, and that was the first Kickstarter we did, and we were basically like, we like writing these short weird characters based on song titles, and if you have a song you want to see a character of, back the project and we'll make a weird character for you. And that was a ton of fun. And it was the first project we did. We kind of just winged it mostly. Then we did the layout ourselves, and Jaimie and I just did a ton of writing, and it was a lot of fun. And we were like, let's do that again. And so we decided to do 100 Spaces again with backers providing the prompts that we kind of respond to and tease out. And then we're working with Josh White, who's an amazing concept artist, doing mostly sci-fi, some kind of like fantasy adjacent stuff. I have been talking with Josh since Infinity of Ships about trying to work with him at some point, and it just really clicked with this project. So he has a lot of his visuals kind of have the same sort of density, like you're saying, like density of ideas, like richness of evocation, where you're like, you see it and you're like, what world could possibly make this happen, or what worlds could this make happen? And so yeah, we're partnering with him to do illustrations in the book, and we're really excited.
Yeah, if you're able to think back all the way back to 2025, I don't know if you remember that year, but it was horrendous. It was just such a horrendous year. And, Adam and I had we have a lot of irons in the fire at all times and playing around with all kinds of ideas. And I just remember, as we headed into January, and Adam, you said this, like, you were like, let's go back to the roots and let's do a project like that. And like, that was a project where like 100 audience members said, give me blank. And we gave them blank. And it was just such a simple transaction, if you will, like a call and response. Now, what we did on Bastards that we will not be doing is we had a tier where you could get 100 of your own bastards. Like, I forget what that tier was. Like, I'm
total
a bastard. You bastard.
You're a total bastard.
You're a total bastard. So we actually made 300 bastards in that project. And that will not happen this time because that killed us. But it was still a ton of fun. And I just think, it just goes back to tightening that feedback loop and, the way improv works, the way we like to work, and just like, let's hear a thing and let's do a thing. Let's hear a thing and let's do a thing. And then share it with everyone. Well, you can back it without prompting. When we did 100 Bastards, nobody knew who the hell we were, and we ran out of 100 prompts pretty quickly. So like, I'm sure that'll happen again, but there's plenty of other tiers just to get it and enjoy it. And we're really looking forward to it.
How much is it to back it at the you will use my prompt level?
Yeah, so so the book is $25. It'll be about 100 pages, soft cover, 6x9, same size as all of our other stuff. And then to provide a prompt, it's $35.
Only $10 more?
Yeah, only $10 more. Yeah, we're threading the needle, but between being actually wanting to pay ourselves a little bit for the writing, and you wanting something where people who want to participate feel like they can, and feel like we're not raking them over the coals or anything. But yeah, we wanted, especially with the economy being what it is, we wanted it to be affordable. So the PDF is only going to be $10. The softcover book's going to be $25. There's the 35 tier if you want to provide a prompt and get your name in the book, and we'll write the prompt for you. And then we have 10 slots for provide a prompt and get a custom illustration from Josh White based on your prompt. And those are, I think those are $250. And almost all of which goes to Josh because we want really good art. So
man, I gotta push you. I gotta say, I think you have to make the insert a prompt level 45 to 50. I'm in Milwaukee. It's a cheaper city, but like,
yeah,
I just think that like, like if you're for $35 at 100, that's generating an extra $1,000 only. Is that math right?
Sure.
Yeah. You guys.
That's about right. I'm trying to picture the spreadsheet in my mind. Yeah.
So I mean, not I don't know how to say this, so I'm just gonna say it. But like, if Questing Beast is like you had one of the top 10 products of the year last year, I'm just saying. It should generate more. Like if you put it at, doubling it to 45 means you make $2,000 just for taking the people's prompts. Like, essentially, you're asking other people to tell you what to write, and you're only paying yourself a couple grand for it. Just seems like, again, people will. I just think people are going to pay for that privilege. So I am here to push you and say, make it more.
Maybe we'll make an extra donation add-on that's
actually, can you rush us a transcript? We're going to clip from that as a testimonial, even though we're not going to change the price. Like, so I think that'd be fantastic. I mean, first of all, I just think money's stupid, and I wish it didn't exist. But outside of that, you know, in this economy, you know,
that's why you need to be paid more.
No. I mean it the other way. Like, in, you know, just if you've sat at a table selling books at a convention this year versus 2 years ago, it's just a different world. And I feel that. And, you know, I tip over the tier level. I just backed the latest from Lazy Lich, and, you know, I tipped over the level. And I'm not saying I'm special. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like, if you can, you should, because you love art and you want more great art to come out. But, like, you know, we want the barriers to be as low as they can be, you know, like, you know, at one point, all of Station's work was going to be free, and we were never going to have any products. And then we like messed around with 100 bastards, and then it just kept snowballing. But, you know, I think I'm good with where the price is at on it. I wish, you know, we're not going to like lowball Josh's work. That's the cost driver. Wait till if you haven't seen his work, wait till you see his work. It's incredible. We'll make sure you have a link for the description or whatever. Yeah, I like where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, we went back and forth on it a little bit, but like ultimately, it's, you know, it's kind of like we want people to be able to participate and feel like they can, and feel like they really want to. You know, at some point we had priced it out based on not purely based on, but kind of thinking of like a 20 cents per word, you know, like what would that amount to? And when we were thinking about how many words you write, we're like, oh, maybe it'll be like 15, 20 bucks, or maybe a little bit more than that. And then we were just like, you know, like just an extra $10 is like totally fine for us.
And I will
it's not
say,
like you're going to get Ravenloft with your word. That's not what you're going to get with your word, right?
And if your word is Ravenloft, we'll just send you a copy
of picture of the book and put it right on that page. You know, each one is just a page of content, you know, or less than a page of content. So I don't know. We'll see. All right.
And again, it's worth pointing out, like in 100 Strangers, you know, though they are incredibly short NPCs, which is fine. Like, you're pushing the boundaries of how little can you give someone and have it be effective. And again, I think it's even though you're doing that, I think it is still effective. Like with Remain. So I can understand your point that, like, it's not like you're writing a 1,000 word backstory for every one of these locations, but still, you're never going to take out wizards with this kind of attitude.
No, we've got a different plan for wizards. I can't tell you much about it now, but
I should come clean. Like, this is a virtual background, and, you know, I'm in Milan right now in my chateau, getting ready for the Olympics, and you know, I just put on this background, and I like find a T-shirt at Goodwill, and then just like jump on a podcast.
I mean, I will say that, like, if you guys, it turned out were hired by Wizards and just had an NDA and couldn't tell us about it right now, I would be delighted. Although, again, I don't know how much you follow it, but I'm rather encouraged by what I'm hearing and seeing, even though I don't super like D&D and I barely know anything about the 2024 rules. You know, I want it to be doing well. And if these are going to be the best paid designers in the industry, at least let's have some good designers in there. So that's encouraging. And hopefully you're hired by them. You should send them resumes.
Totally.
We always have some sort of scheme, meta scheme going on. So totally. I'll leave it at that.
Great. I love it.
Yeah.
And Jaimie, you mentioned Echo's Lost Bay or Lost Boy?
Eco.
Eco.
Eco's Lost Bay. The Lost Bay is the name of the game system and the game. The adventure I love is called Swine, where this pig-headed, pig-masked mass murderer. You have a lot of like abandoned malls and shit like that. It's fantastic. I think I played a skateboarder in that game. No, that was the game where I played a zombie. Like one of the characters is half dead, and like you're literally half dead, so you can only take half damage from every attack. It's fantastic. And I smelled like meat. It was awesome.
Yeah, and yeah. So the game is the Lost Bay, and Eco has an amazing Discord called the Lost Bay. Has an amazing podcast called the Lost Bay Podcast, where it interviews different game designers, and is a lovely human being, which is always important.
IKO is how he spells his name. IKO. Yeah.
Okay. IKO.
I remember for my zombie, since they smelled like meat and had grown up in a deli, I made a charcuterie generator table. So like I would roll D20 at the beginning of the session to know what meat I smelled like. And
charcuterie generator table will be the name of this episode.
Yeah. It was the most stations I've ever been personally. Like that was my peak stations moment. Nduja came up in like one of the sessions. I love Nduja.
Spicy.
I mean, it seems like, Jaimie, every time I have you on, I'm like, what is that weird sounding game? I guess I need to go check it out. And then I'm like, oh, this is really good. Last time it was, is it Neon Bullets in Acid Rain or something like that?
So good. Did you pick it up?
I picked up the PDF and I've been looking at it and I'm like, it's, like I really love a good cyberpunk rule set and I'm interested in how slim you can get it. And I thought that Cyborg, the Morkborg one, that was slim and sexy, but this one defeats it.
Neon Bullets? Yeah. Well, if you just tell me if we're ever going to be in the same zip code, because the physical book is like chromed out, like it's like foiled and it's gorgeous. It's really like so cyberpunk. It's fantastic.
I have it on my shelf somewhere, but I can't.
It's only like $25, so I should.
Yeah, totally. I think I kickstarted it. Maybe it kickstarted. I don't know. Give me a roll under, man, anytime. And I love playing cyberpunk games, except for the person that's doing the computer shit. Like I always am like, we just get rid of that part. That's my least favorite. Like I love that in a book. Like you talked about like heist games earlier. Like I love watching a heist, but I'm a terrible heist player. Like first, like I love like a Neil Stephenson cyberpunk book, but when you play the hacker, that is the most boring shit. Oh my god.
Well, and like I love the Dracula dossier from Pelgrane Press, which is basically nothing but like spy heists, but they give you so much support in that that I didn't feel like I was going out there blind. Like if you give me a game where you're improvising a Lovecraftian monster or mystery, no problem, I got that. Undead vampiric backstabbing, okay, I got that. A dungeon, well, give me a few random tables and it'll probably be okay. But like having had a few months of I'm making up a heist as I go, I'm like it's just not where maybe it's me, maybe it's the format, but like Sean McCoy of Mothership was talking about how they're working on some sort of a heist game where they're just going to give you an incredible amount of details about a certain location, and the game is you're heisting that location and you can use it multiple times. And I'm like, that sounds cool, and also like I feel like I could do that. And it was really the improvisational heist nature of Blades that like I felt like I couldn't do. I felt like I was failing at it. Or again, I'm not throwing anything at John Harper, and if you like it, more power to you. It's a great system. But maybe just not for me, I guess.
I think if you like, just watch all the James Bond movies and all the Ocean 11s and the Ocean 8s and all those, I think if you boil down all the narrative hooks, then you could improv better. But like I said, I love Trickster Tricked. Like in a heist movie, it's like, no, he's not the bad guy. He's the bad guy. That would be a good hook. Like what is the collection of phrases that would let you actually improv? Like, right? Like, oh, there's dogs. That would be a hook. Or whatever.
And
yeah, that
when
was tough.
when I think of like heist or caper games, there's two that come to mind, and one is, I mean, and they're both, of course, because I like what I like, more story kind of narrative or light, and one is Fiasco, by
So
Bully
good.
Pulpit Press, which is like, it's, some of it is heisty, but it's more like a caper gone awry. So like people trying to do something, but then just digging themselves more and more into a hole. I kind of like think like Fargo, which is fantastic. I absolutely love that game. And then Honey Heist, the one page by Grant Howitt, where you're planning a perfect heist and also you're a goddamn bear. And you know the rule. I mean, it's a one page game, and so it's all about bears trying to figure out how to steal honey, and use their disguises. And if you want to get into some more improvisational, like fly by the seat of your pants and you're a bear, Honey Heist is a really good time. There's also some really good actual plays of it that are fun to listen to.
All right.
That was
Sorry, go ahead.
secretly, yeah, that was secretly the replicant test. I'm not enough of a geek to know what the replicant test is called, but like your comment section will know. But like, had he not mentioned Honey Heist, then we would know it wasn't really Adam. Because like once you said, like once he started talking about heist games, I just wrote on my piece of paper Honey Heist, because I was like, I know that's about to come up, and if it doesn't come up, I'm gonna shame him about it. Oh, what a great game!
So are we going to get a stations core system? Are we going to get a stations introductory adventure? Are we going to get a stations hex crawl or sandbox at some point?
I mean, wait. Just to note, you are playing the station's core system right now. Like, this is it. This is the whole
You're
thing.
in it. You're in it, man. You're in the Matrix.
I don't know what to say to that.
So a lot of, so many different ways to say that. We've been developing systems. I mean, we've developed different kinds of systems, different flavors of systems ever since we started. Like the first station game that we ran was with an apocalypse engine hack. And then, you know, Jaimie developed one that was like, everyone uses their own real rule set, plus tarot cards. And so we've always been dancing around system and thinking about system. I think one of the things that I think we get drawn to more is the kind of tone and experience of play, and facilitating like a sense of discovery and surprise and wonder. And that can take a lot of different forms. You know, sometimes it's a story kind of form. Sometimes it can be more of a traditional, dice and combat kind of form. But I will say that, you know, we have a lot of different ideas for expansions of a stations like universe, of different places that one might go, different types of adventures that feel very stations, but might be in a specific system. And yeah, that's something we're kind of continuing to explore.
I think we're about like 3 years away from our system, like just being honest. Like, and what I think about is, you know, our friend Justin, when he was creating Sickest Witch and just talking about it, there was a point at which it was like he knew that there was this thing he wanted to bring into games and it wasn't there yet, or it wasn't there consistently in games. Like some players brought it, but the system never did, and that's why he created the system he created. You know, and the cauldron concept and the shared magic concept and all those things, and the body economy concepts. I think we're floating around this wonder idea, you know, and we're constantly dealing with that wonder idea. And at some point, it's just going to crystallize itself into a point, and we're going to be like, this is the way we're going to push it into the game itself. Maybe, like, you know, but I think, you know, we so love to run strange experiences, and I think that's a little different than you know, what I see games normally doing. You know, it's more like we're writing these meta modules than we are writing game systems at this point, again and again and again.
Sickest Witch, covered by Professor DM just recently too.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that was great.
He had kind things to say, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, Tuesday. So if you're listening to this and it's Monday or Sunday, there should be a link in the show notes where I'm guessing you will be able to enter your email address to be informed when your Kickstarter goes live. If you're listening to this Tuesday or any time in the infinite beyond that, the link should probably take you right to a Kickstarter page where you could give Adam and Jaimie more than $35 to.
And listen, it's coming out on February 10th. Obviously, like the perfect Valentine's gift is to back it and then print out the screen like you're an old person, and then give that to your loved one and say,
put it in
I
that
backed a space for you. You're going to get to give them a word. And pretty much,
oh my God, that's a good angle.
If you're hovering on the edge of like lifelong partnership, I think that would seal the deal. Like, quite honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember when we used to get stars named?
And if it does, listeners, if it does seal the deal for you, invite us to the wedding, please.
Totally.
We will come. Jaimie is a great bartender. He will make great drinks. And
we'll have Josh design a cake.
Yeah,
it'll be perfect.
Josh design a cake. Yeah. Future Josh, listening to this, you're a cake designer now. You're welcome.
You're a cake designer. So listeners, if you are going to be attending GaryCon in exotic Lake Geneva, I will be interviewing Jeff Easley in the Hugh Hefner suite there. Jeff Easley was an iconic D&D designer. He was the highest paid creative at TSR when it folded in 1997, pulling down $100,000 a year to paint D&D stuff. So that's not so bad. If you are not able to come, you will have access to that interview on my Patreon, which is a mere $3 a month. Just $3. You'll know I did not take my own advice. That
should be $30 a month, Ben. It should be like $3,000 a month in late 1900s currency. So, like, we're talking serious zeros.
I don't know. I don't know how to take my own advice, so I'm going to back slowly away from this
Medici level.
Yeah. Anything else that you feel like you need to plug, mention, point people to?
Oh Lord. New Lazy Lich Kickstarter, man. I wish I knew the name. Like, everyone has Google, and there's a comment section. Like, it's a Shadow Dark piece, and it's like, it's all kind of like black psychedelic. Like, I don't know. It's just, it looks freaking gorgeous. I hope are you Googling right now?
I'm Googling it right now.
Man, it's good.
Lair of the Laziest Lich, Haldren the Lich.
Hold on. I just Discorded it to Adam. I can pull it up. We can fix this in post. One of my favorite expressions.
Lazy not going to be able to.
It's called Demi-Dirge Fanged Funeral. It's on Kickstarter right now for 12 more days. Man, it just looks freaking good.
Fanged Funeral. Yeah. All right, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And other than that, Jaimie, Adam, it's been a pleasure as always. Come on anytime. It's always a delight to talk to you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Likewise. Thanks, Ben.